Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and I have a special guest with me today, Esther. So I'm gonna be asking Esther a series of questions about what she does in her role. And do you want to give a bit of background about you first?
Okay, so I'm a recent grad. I graduated last year, July. I studied economics and finance at the University of Bedfordshire, and I got a first class in that. So that's a bit of my educational background. And yeah, I'm recording with Madupe today, so I'm excited.
Yeah. So do you want to tell them, so what is your current role? How long have you been doing it?
My current role is at a housing association. What the company mostly does is providing affordable housing for people that obviously need more affordable housing, because not everybody is able to rent privately. So that's mostly what the company focuses on. My specific team is development finance. So we look at the future financial decisions of the company, and I'm a financial planning and analysis assistant in that team. My team is fairly small. There's 2 assistant management accountants and 1 financial planning analyst. And then there's my boss, who is the financial planning manager. There's roughly, I think, around 5 people in my team, not many, but I actually do like small teams. It helps you to kind of get to know people a bit more and what they do in the company.
So what's your day-to-day role? What do you do on a daily basis, so people have an insight into whether this is the type of role they want to do?
So what I do on a day-to-day basis, I mostly support my team. So whatever workloads they need me to assist them with, I take that on. But I do have things I do every single month. Like I assist with monthly financial slides, looking at also economic information for something called DAG that we prepare every month. And that goes to the executive board, the development committee, and they use that to make financial decisions for the company.
So that was your monthly task. So what are your daily tasks? If you were to go into work today, what do you do in the morning? What's your schedule? What are the things you would mostly your actual duties that you do maybe on a daily basis that wouldn't normally change day to day?
So my day-to-day duties in my role, I mostly work project-based. So in my role, there are things that I do monthly, and I kind of just sort out those tasks in bite-sized chunks and then kind of get on with that day-to-day. But on a daily basis, what I actually do is one project that we've been doing for quite a long time is a charging related project for the treasury side of our team. And that's just looking at a large amount of properties and ensuring that they have enough documentation to get secured. And then obviously that security will help us to get future loans. So what I do is I just make sure that the right documentation is gotten from the development team, which who have a lot of information in regards to these properties, because that's mostly what they work on. So I just make sure I get things like Section 106 agreements, land related information, indemnity policies and stuff like that, and I gather them all up and obviously send them over to the solicitors. And if they have any queries or more information that they require, they email me back, and I just try and liaise with the development team and get more information. And so far we've managed to be able to secure funding from another bank, and I think it's roughly 75 million that we've managed to secure through this project. So that's mostly what I would say is a task that I do daily. I have a spreadsheet and I have to work on different actions to be able to get that information. That's one thing that I do daily in my role.
Perfect. So also, are there any other ad hoc tasks that you do?
Yeah, so I do graph work in my role. I supply house price index information, and they release new house price information every month. The government does that, so we just kind of monitor that figure and see whether it's gone up or it's gone down. So obviously I compute this into graphical form so that the people that are actually using this information to make these financial decisions are able to assimilate the information quickly and notice what needs to be highlighted. So that's something that I do in my role that involves a lot of graphs and Excel.
So your company, are they a mortgage lender? So do they lend money to customers, or what is their fundamental role? What's their fundamental service?
Yeah, so my organisation is a housing association, so it's a charity, registered charity, but it's quite a large organisation. So I think we have over 300 employees. Okay. It's a non-profit. Yeah, the main company goal is to provide affordable housing. That's mostly what the company does. It used to be a council, actually, North Hertfordshire Homes, but then it turned into the current company that it is. So it's a registered charity, and we just basically churn out affordable housing for people.
Perfect. So how did you get your role? What's the process like? Was it difficult? Talk us through like the very beginning. Where did you find this role to even apply for it, and how did you end up getting an offer letter?
Okay, so I was fairly lucky, to be honest, because I graduated like literally a month after I graduated. This role just came, so grateful to God about that. But it was a recruiter that told me of the position, and when she had emailed me the job spec. And another tip I would definitely give for somebody looking for like advice on how to get a role and things like that is recruiters are literally your best friends. They are able to really find the exact job that you need and match your skills with them. So yeah, the recruiter emailed me on this role and I liked the look of it, and then they scheduled an interview with my obviously current boss. So the interview was 2 stages. I had informal interview at first with my current boss, and then the second stage I had to make a presentation on my knowledge on the sector, which is housing. So I presented that to my boss and also another head in the finance department. Then after that, it was 3 stages, sorry. Then after that, I saw the team. And yeah, when I saw the team, and then they were asking me questions, and after that, I got the role. So yeah, it was fairly quick. I would say that was within 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 3 weeks span, which is quite quick in terms of getting a role. So,
and that presentation that you had to do, how did you find that process? Was it difficult preparing? Was it like slides you had to present, PowerPoint slides? And was it difficult preparing it, or did they like ask you difficult questions? How did you find that whole process there?
Yeah, so I had to use PowerPoint. One feedback that I did get back at the time was that I put so much information and I didn't have time to talk through it properly. But yeah, I prepared loads of slides on housing, what housing is, the benefit it has to the community, and things like that. So I presented that to the 2 heads of finance, and they did ask me a few questions in regards to the information that I prepared. And yeah, I felt like I was able to answer them quite well.
So would you say your role was different from like your expectations? So what were your expectations versus reality as a grad?
My expectations, to be honest, I was expecting a bit more exposure, in the sense that I was expecting it to be a little bit more fast paced, and it isn't as fast paced as I expected it, which isn't a bad thing. I feel like since it was my first role, it's kind of good to ease yourself into things. Yeah. So I am grateful that it is fairly fast paced, but at the same time it's quite predictable in a sense. Mm-hmm. But I expected it to be kind of more on board, but I think I would experience that more in a commercial setting rather than a charity setting.
Exactly.
Even though it is a large organisation.
Yeah, so one thing you'll have to know, sorry for interrupting, is that depending on what industry you work in, it can greatly affect the role you do. So even someone working as a financial analyst or financial planning analyst in one type of industry, like say like a charity organization versus a more commercial business like a financial services company or like in private equity or anything like that, like the role will be completely different. And it also affects like the skills you gain, because obviously there are certain roles that require more rigorous like research and analytics, and so you definitely want to take that into consideration when you're looking for a grad role or any type of role. So what main skills would you say you've learned from this role?
Main skills, I would say I've improved in my presentation skills. At first I was quite shy in presenting, but I feel like now I'm a bit more on ball. I've learned a lot about Excel, more Excel, finding ways to do things more efficiently and quickly and productive. Tasks that would take 1 hour, shortening it to 30 minutes rather than, dragging it on. I've also learned more about PowerPoint, how to be able to present things in a more concise manner.
The whole thing with PowerPoint, you might we worked with PowerPoint at university, but it's very different when you're in a workplace. It's very specific layout they want their presentations to look like. So like even from the heading, from the font, the size, the way you put the words on the page, what the charts look like, the color theme of the charts, like it's a whole thing. Because in one of my companies, like the companies I worked with previously, they literally had a graphic designer that was helping out with the presentation slides. So like having good presentation skills, you might think, oh yeah, that's some basic thing she's talking about. No, it's really, really important. And like knowing how to present information is really, really important. So don't just whack things on. Don't think you're gonna just go into a job and then just whack things on the presentation slide. No, there is a theme to it. You really need to take it seriously how you're presenting information, because these slides usually, like with the company I worked with, it's usually investors that are going to see these presentation slides, and you need to make sure everything's accurate. And what makes it difficult is that, like, you have all these charts and all this information, but then you need to make it very concise in those slides, and we don't want the slides to be too long. You have literally a specific number of slides for different things you want to talk about. The director I was working with, he was really good with those presentation slides, like, so it is a really, really good skill to have. I remember it took me like one time, it took me like a whole day to just get these presentation slides done. Like, even though I have the information right there, but translating that information into the slides
is the way they want it to be.
It's not easy. So how would you describe the career progression in this role?
Who cares about him?
Do you feel like this role is a role that you can progress in? Is there like a clear layout as to like when you come in as a grad where you can end up? Okay. Or do you feel like there isn't any career progression? Like, what are your thoughts?
So I feel like with my role, because I would say there is career progression. They have encouraged me to take CMA and ACCA to kind of advance my accounting knowledge. So I would say there definitely is career progression, and there's a new thing that they've recently started at my workplace whereby they actually give you specific, direct advice in terms of your career progression within the company. So they show you what qualifications you actually need to get to XYZ position, which is really good. So I would say that there is career progression, but because of the nature of the company, in the sense that it's a charity, I feel like there's not as much opportunities as there would be in a more commercial setting. So that's the only con. But I would say that as a pro, there definitely is career progression. At least clearly it's stated what you need to kind of get in terms of qualifications to be able to excel.
So like starting from so you're a financial planning
assistant.
Mm-hmm. So what kind of, like, after, do you know like the timeline? What how long it will take you to progress on to the next stage in your career in that company? Do you know?
I would say they don't really have like time.
So they don't have like a clear
time, period.
What's the next position after
the financial planning analyst?
Okay, and then after that?
Then after that, financial planning manager.
Okay, so there is career progression there, as you can see. Financial assistant, then analyst, and then manager. Is it manager? Yeah.
Yes.
So there's career progression, guys. So you have to answer this next question.
Okay.
So what do you dislike about your role?
Ooh, what do I dislike? I would just say, I wouldn't say I dislike it. I just kind of, actually no. One thing I would say I dislike about my role is I would like to be able to contribute a bit more. But I feel like because I'm not, I don't necessarily have as much experience as other people in my team, there's only so much I can contribute, in the sense that I haven't had that level of exposure that a lot of people in my team have had in terms of the sector in regards to accounting and things like that. So I would say one thing I dislike about my role is sometimes I feel like I can't really contribute as much as I would love to because of lack of knowledge.
Yeah.
And then another con I would say I don't like about my role or the company. Is it the role or the company again?
It doesn't matter.
Oh, okay.
Whichever role or company.
Okay. I don't want to shame my company, but anyways. Another thing I would say I dislike about my role is it is kind of accounting focused, and I am quite passionate about the investment space. I feel like that really interests me. So kind of getting a bit of exposure to that would be lovely for me, but because the area is mostly accounting focused and a bit of treasury, I don't really have that exposure. So those are the only two things. But apart from that, it's really lovely. I love the work culture at my company. Everybody's really open and nice, and
So guys, despite what she said, trust me, whether you're in a role where it's really accounting based or more investing based, just take what you can. All experiences is useful experience, because I've had in the past where I managed, like, we had like the head of capital markets. He had an accounting qualification. Like, there's some companies that look for people that have more of a background in accounting. So like basically what I'm trying to say is nothing is lost. Yes. So if you find yourself in a role that's really accounting based, still take that, that's still a plus. But then obviously you take that knowledge and then you move somewhere else and then do what you really want to do. But nothing is lost. Like everything you learn is valuable and you should take it seriously. Okay, so second to last question.
A lot of questions.
So in hindsight, what would you have done differently in terms of your job search?
Differently.
Yeah.
I feel like I did quite well in the sense that, you know, I didn't know the power of recruiters in the beginning. I felt like it would all have to be me applying to a million jobs and then they all get back to me and tell me, oh, this is when the interview will be and stuff like that. But recruiters really are your best friend. And I said it in the beginning of this video because obviously it benefits them to get you a role. Basically it's a mutually beneficial relationship that you're having with them, and they know your skills and expertise. They've spoken with the employer and know exactly what they need and what they want. Yeah. So you can really leverage on that and kind of get as much information from the recruiter in terms of what the employer is expecting in the interview. So yeah, that's what I would say. I would say that.
So is there anything you would have done differently, like knowing, like being in the current role you're in now and seeing how it's turned out? Do you think you would have done anything different in your job search? Maybe look for a different kind of company, or I don't know, or things you would have done better in the interview process? Anything at all that you feel like you could, like if you could turn back time, what would you do differently?
I feel like I would have applied to more graduate roles. Okay. Yeah, that's in fact, if I could do differently in terms of jobs, I would have applied to more graduate roles, and actually I would have started earlier. Oh my gosh, guys, start early when you're applying for jobs, especially before you graduate, so you can kind of have something straight out of uni. And one thing I would do going back is I would have taken a year placement at a company or done an internship at summer. I didn't know how important it was, honestly. I just thought, oh, okay, let me finish uni and then the magic job will appear, and you know, this and that, which at the end of the day you still have to be grateful for what you do get. But 100%. If I had an internship, if I had, you know, spent a year in a company, that experience before you even graduate is already there, so you wouldn't have had to kind of try and overcome that barrier of lack of experience in your interviews. So, yeah
100%. I totally agree. Okay, next question. Last question. I think we're ending on a good note. Okay. What are your career goals?
My career goals?
Yes.
Okay. My career goals, I would say I would love to work in the investment space. I keep on saying it, but like I would like to get into that. I feel like it's important to enjoy what you do. Obviously at the end of the day you still need to earn money and things like that, but I feel like it's important to get into an area that interests you the most. And I feel like that space would be an area that would interest me. Seeing as I study economics, I love looking at resources of countries and how they manage it, and obviously looking at how different things that happen globally affect economies of countries and things like that. Like the war in Ukraine at the moment, it has affected the UK significantly in terms of their economy and, you know, taxes and stuff like that. So yeah, I feel like, and obviously that does feed into investments and the stock market and stuff like that. So I feel like that's really where I want to be in the future. I would say that is definitely a career goal of mine, to eventually enter into the investment space. But I feel like like Modipa said, no experience is worthless. Yeah. Accounting, I feel like it's very important. Whether you're in anything in finance, it's good to have a basic accounting knowledge because they're kind of the principles of finance in a sense.
And you're doing a CFA now.
Yes.
So yeah, and that's gonna really help her get into investing. And I'm guessing one of your career goals is to complete that CFA and become like qualified, a totally fully qualified chartered financial analyst. So.
Yes, definitely. So yeah, I am looking to do
this. That qualification holds weight.
Yes, it does. That, so. And you know, another thing is, it's very important to do your research. Find out what financial qualifications are going to get you ahead, and then start planning to study them. Because I actually didn't know much about financial qualifications until I had graduated. So yeah.
Okay, well, Esther, thank you so much for being on my YouTube channel.
Well, thank you.
And yeah, please let me know if you have any questions for Esther. I can definitely ask her, and she has a YouTube channel as well, so I'll link that down below. And yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.